Oh. More of your requiem that you commissioned, Mum. On the drum. Behave. Well, this is page 3. So you've missed a bit where Wu appears and has met the children and the colourfuls who happen to be meeting in the great hall of the colourfuls. They gave cake and juice to Wu, who said thank you and sat down on the cushions on the floor of the great hall and listened to the stories they had to tell about the games they had played, looked at the pictures they had made, and laughed amongst the noise. Funky, he said many times. Now it is true, the colourfuls liked Wu, but the fuss they made was because he wandered away now and again, having adventures, and so they didn't see Wu very often, so he had to fit a lot into a short time. Where have you been, Wu? Narantha Boohoo asked. Yes, where have you been? Laughed Purple Mushroom. That, smiled Wu, is another story for another time. Let's all tidy away and help leave everything as we wish to find next time we need it. Only then shall we have a quest. Even though Wu was a bit dramatic most of the time, everyone was still excited as they tidied, cleared, washed and dried up, and after a short time all waited patiently as they could for Wu to begin. It is a quest unlike any other, full of possibilities. And now, beginning, said Wu, looking around, and then looking up. The great hall was suddenly bathed in light from the coloured glass roof of the great hall of the colourfuls, which began to move, began to change. So did the light in the hall. It was all sorts of colours and patterns. Some sparkled, others did things you knew weren't possible. You could hold some. Others you could nudge. Others nudged you. Some stuck on your clothes, still changing, or passed through your hand, and bounced away to play someplace else. Purple Mushroom and Narantha the Tree Healer manipulated the crazy colours into shapes and objects, floating, spinning, and bouncing around the great hall. They were just making a skipping kaleidoscope rope when a strange, curious voice sang throughout the hall. Have you ever seen a little green house with no windows and no doors, and hidden inside a little star? Bling! Jamie the North Star appeared before anyone could think about what the voice had said. Did someone say star? Jamie the North Star said suspiciously. Have you ever seen a little green house? Began Wu, in his best strange and curious voice, with no windows and no doors, and hidden inside a star. A little star, sang the children. A little star, asked the star, interested, and turning green despite himself, though pleased it was only a little star. Stars can be funny about that kind of thing. I have existed a long time, said Jamie the North Star, relaxing on a pile of cushions, changing colour happily and using his points to play with the light, absent-mindedly. And I have never heard of such a thing as a little green house with no windows and no doors and hidden inside a little star. Jamie flopped his points and they all wondered a while. concentrating on... I don't know. Anyone got any ideas? What? Oh. You can't even remember your own tune. Ooh. Ava, where are you? Oh, thank you very much. Another amendment to the law of diminishing returns, the law of increasing marginal, increase the law of increasingly marginal returns. It's economic theory. I am not a usual case because of the chemotherapy and radiotherapy. But all the same, I still think that composing music never doesn't not get that I like what I play and compose and improvise around themes that I've wondered about for decades and messed around for parts of the last 3 years in earnest, because I bought this piano when I started cancer treatment, and I bought this when the lump came back. Well, you know, everyone's dying, we all die, all that sort of nonsense. Yes, so I mean, you know, look, I mean, it's not well, it is real, but it's not. It isn't normal to have 6 weeks of radiation and 2 lots of intensive chemotherapy at the same time, full stop, never mind starvation during it. However, I did reach a place of absolute zen after about 9 weeks of throwing up, when I was like, that's it. They didn't have any vegetarian food, so they gave these shakes that had very little nutritional value, but they had them in a box at the department. And I said, Mum, the artificial colours are just, flavours are just killing me. And I said, look, what is the point if I'm just throwing it up? I mean, apart from anything else, it's not good for the teeth. And Mum eventually went, look, okay. And every so often, you know, once or twice a week, I'd say to my mum, like, it's not possible, is it, that every time I have a sip of water I throw up? And Mum would go, well, try it. And I would throw up after a sip of water. I mean, one time Mum just shoved a spoonful of honey in my mouth, and I don't think it touched size before it. Anyway, so I reached a place of absolute zen, of the fact that live or die, I need to stop throwing up, and the best way is to stop eating. And that went on for quite a long time, and then me holding a tube up that went into my stomach, which you're not supposed to do, and Mum would make things, and I would spend, I don't know, 12, 13 hours a day like this. Yeah. Sometime, after a few months, I could cope with coffee with oodles of sugar, and I couldn't taste anything. Right, it is good night, God bless. You know, thank you. You. When I say things like, don't underestimate the power of your friendship, I don't mean mine. Although, you know, when you're thinking about yourself, you should think about yourself, the power of your friendship for others. But I am actually only thinking of you. You're allowed to think of both. Do what you like. Although Katie Ahmed is right. Your internal dialogue is of the utmost importance. A, you shouldn't lie in it, no matter how well it makes you feel. And if you find yourself enjoying thinking about how you could do something again, then really you ought to at least take a few steps towards doing it. And talking about it isn't the case. Yes, every so often you're allowed to talk about one thing to one person and spread it around, and don't send video to people. Speaking as a former well, I was motivated by routine, but the routine was motivated by, there was an awful lot of people I was answerable to and wanted to know how I was, and I'm not used to answering to anyone other than my mother, Vic Harnett, and Mahani Ayad. Oh, and God.